My name is Robert Delph. I'm an entomologist at NAU, but my friends call me Bug Bob. You can call me Bug Bob if you like. Does anyone know what an entomologist does?
Study bugs.
Studies bugs, that's correct. So I'm an entomologist. I study insects and other arthropods. It's not always fun and games though. I'm not always running around open fields with a butterfly net catching bugs. A lot of it is pretty tedious work where I'm sitting at a microscope 8 hours a day identifying insects by looking at little tiny parts like hairs and stuff like that. But occasionally I get to bring bugs like this for you guys to see. Can you guys see all that?
I can't see. What are those tiny spiders?
But I get to bring really cool, exciting bugs like this to audiences like yourself to basically talk about biodiversity and other important ecological things with insects. And I use the term arthropod a lot. An arthropod characterizes insects as well as arachnids. So you see like the spiders and scorpions. Did you know like shrimp, crabs, and lobster are also arthropods?
No.
They all have something in common. Does anyone know? What do all arthropods have in common? Put them in this group, arthropods. You know?
They're like bugs.
Well, they're bugs, yeah, but these aren't really bugs. These are arachnids, but they're still arthropods. I'll give you a hint. You're walking around, you see a cockroach on the ground, you go over and step on it. It makes that crunchy sound, like you just stepped on a fortune cookie. Does anyone know what that crunching is?
The outer shell?
The outer shell, that's right. Does anyone know what the outer shell is called?
I thought it was just the bones.
Just the what?
The bones.
No, but that's very close. It has something to do with their bones. You know? Exoskeleton, that's correct. What is your name?
Andrea.
Andrea. Very good. So, well, did I say it right? Is it not Andrea? Is it
No one
Andrea?
gets it right the first time. So you're not
Andrea, is that
No one
right?
gets my name right.
Andrea. Andrea.
Okay.
Okay.
No one gets my name right.
Well, you can call me Robert, Bob, Bug Bob, whatever. But yeah, so it's the exoskeleton. So we have our skeleton on the inside of our body, right?
Yeah.
Well, arthropods have their skeleton on the outside of their body. So, you know, when a dead cow, when a cow dies and you see it on the side of the road, does it look like a cow still? You know, all you see is the bones, right? Well, when an insect or another arthropod dies, well, since its skeleton is on the outside of its body, when they die, they look exactly the same as if when they were still alive. So all these bugs that you see here are dead, but you're seeing their skeleton. All the stuff that is decomposed and rotted is on the inside of their body, and so they have this perfect casing on the outside. Now, when an arthropod gets bigger, when it needs to grow, well, they need to shed that exoskeleton. So right here, what I have are shed skins of cockroaches. Okay? They're not dead, they're just shed skins. See that?
Oh, see? I can see.
See, there's just shed skins. They're completely hollow. They're like old brittle crackers.
Like rotten red. Already saw. I can crack my nose. That was just taking out. No head. Crack your neck.
Yeah.
Ow.
So their whole body is covered by that exoskeleton, so they need to shed every part of
Looks like
it.
a scorpion.
Yeah, isn't that cool? Now it's not just insects that need to shed their skin.
Snakes shed.
Even really large arthropods like tarantulas need to shed their skin.
I know that's true.
See that? Now remember, these are not dead. They're not alive either. These are just the shed skins.
What? They look real.
Yeah, they are.
My mom and dad used to have a tarantula.
See that?
My
They're completely hollow inside. So they shed everything. You can see the fangs there.
You can?
All the hair. They
Can I
shed
see?
all that as well.
It's a tarantula. It's as big as your hand. What about the claw?
Everything sheds, even the hairs.
Whoa.
See the fangs?
Why are the fangs black? Why are all spiders black?
Not all spiders are hairy.
Are there centipedes in that one?
So those are some, so you saw some dead insects, and I showed you some shed skins. Now I want to show you some actual live bugs.
No.
Now these right here are cockroaches.
Oh,
You can see a couple of them hidden in the wood there. See
Where
that?
did they jump off?
Now these are called hissing Madagascar cockroaches. And these are insects. Now how many legs does an insect have? Looking for someone to raise their hand. You in the back. 6, that's right. And how many body regions does an insect have? 3. Who can name all 3? Do you know? No?
I only know
2. I forget the other one.
Someone's got to know all 3 of them.
Head, abdomen, and thorax.
That's right. So insects have 3 major body parts. They have the head, which has the eyes, antenna, mouth parts, and then the chest area is the thorax. Okay, and that's where they have all their legs. They have 6 legs, 3 on each side, and usually a pair of wings. And you can see butterflies and moths, they have a pair of wings. Beetles, even katydids and grasshoppers and cockroaches have wings. So most insects have a pair of wings. This is a live insect here, and they're called hissing Madagascar cockroaches for a reason, and that's because they hiss. If you listen really carefully, I can try to get one to hiss for you.
Oh!
Oh my.
You guys hear it back there?
That's loud.
Now insects make noises many different ways. So there's crickets. They have really large veins on their wings. They rub their wings together, and that's what creates that chirping sound. Grasshoppers rub their legs together. Cicadas, they have this little area right on the abdomen, and they move that back and forth really fast, which creates that reverberation, kind of like a kazoo. Hissing cockroaches like this have little holes throughout their body, and these little holes are called spiracles. Now all insects have spiracles, and this is how they breathe. We have lungs that pull air into our bodies. Where cockroaches, they have these little holes on their abdomen. With some insects, the holes are on the thorax or in other parts of their body. But air just flows freely throughout their body, and that's how they breathe. That's why an insect, if you put it in a jar with the lid screwed on tight, they can still breathe in there for a while because there's enough oxygen to last them. Now this cockroach has been able to take in that air and squeeze the air out really fast, and that's what creates that hissing sound. Now these cockroach, it's not poisonous, it's not venomous, it's not dangerous, but this is considered a meal to many animals. Now when we look at this cockroach, we don't say, oh, that looks delicious, I want to eat that. But if you're an insectivore, which is an animal that eats insects, in the island of Madagascar they have lemurs. You guys know what lemurs are, right? Yeah. You saw Madagascar. Well, the lemurs, you know, they eat these cockroaches. And so if I'm a hungry lemur and I'm going to go and eat this cockroach, well, this cockroach has a defense. Now, to a lemur, this cockroach looks delicious. This looks like a giant M&M. It's got the crunchy candy shell with the yummy chocolatey goodness inside, right? But well, to a lemur, this is really good. It's like chocolate to a lemur. Now, if I'm a hungry lemur, I'm going to go and grab this thing and eat it. But, oh, look at that. It just hissed. What other animals make a hissing sound?
Snakes.
That's right, snakes. So, If I'm a hungry lemur, and snakes, some of them are pretty big, they can eat a lemur. So if I want to eat dinner, I don't want to become dinner. So that hissing sound's a pretty good defense. And I'll probably think twice and think, oh, that might be a snake. Maybe I should go and find something else to eat. So I'll come around if you want to pet it. You don't have to touch it if you don't want to. These are actually very clean cockroaches.
So can I hold it? Can I hold it? On accident. These were
That's right.
Because when it hissed, it started moving fast on me. You were just moving back. You were like, no. I said,
There's a spider on the screen.
oh my God.
There's tiny mites on them. They're like spiders, except
Maybe if there's sign language. Okay, so you got to touch it and you felt it was kind of hard. That was that exoskeleton that you were touching. And some of you may have also saw these little tiny critters crawling on it. Well, those are mites. Now, when we're dirty, we take a bath or a shower, right? Well, cockroaches aren't very good at bathing themselves. And a lot of times, bacteria and fungi grow on their body, and it can be very harmful to the cockroach. These mites, actually, are good for the cockroach. These mites feed on fungi and bacteria that could be harmful to the cockroach that grow on its body. And so this mite and the cockroach, they have what's called a symbiotic relationship. And that means they both benefit from hanging out with one another. The cockroach always gets a bath, no matter where he's at, and then the mites get a free meal. So it's a pretty good relationship they have. Now there are some other cockroaches that aren't so good to handle, and probably I wouldn't recommend holding them, but I am because I'm crazy like that.
they bite. They scorpions.
Please, Anthony, it's a cockroach. It's a scorpion.
They are being It's a baby. That's awesome.
Oh my God.
Don't they look delicious?
Maybe a snake or a lemur, but they hiss.
These don't hiss. Now these cockroaches, I wouldn't recommend handling. Now even though I'm handling them, I'm kind of used to it. These cockroaches have fungi and bacteria that grow on their legs, and about an hour or so I'll probably break out in little red hives all over my hand. But I know if I don't itch it for a while, it'll be fine.
I see him.
But these cockroaches, these are not native here to Arizona either. Now the hissing cockroaches, they're from Madagascar. These ones are not native either. These ones come from areas from Brazil or Asia. There's some cockroaches that have been brought in from Germany. There's many different species of cockroaches that live here in our sewers. They're commonly called sewer roaches. And so you may see something like this crawl up through the drain, either from your bathtub or shower or kitchen sink. Maybe not here in Flagstaff, but if any of you go to Phoenix, you may see one of these guys. And these cockroaches, they need to live in the sewer because they need that warm environment. They need all the humidity. It's too dry here in Arizona for them. These cockroaches are a pest that were brought here a long time ago by ships going from port to port, and these cockroaches are just established in our sewers. Now this is a pest. We don't like a cockroach like this crawling around our house, especially if one of these, you know what it's been kind of hanging out on in the sewer. and then crawls across your dinner plate or coffee mug in the middle of the night, and then you go and eat off of it. Well, it's not very healthy. So when you see a cockroach like this, well, your parents often want to call the exterminator, and they come by and spray all this really strong poison all over the house. Sometimes you even have to leave your house while they do it because it's so strong. Well, that poison's not only bad for the bugs, it's bad for us. And a lot of it gets absorbed into the carpet or into the paint of your house, and then a little bit of moisture touches that, well, and that fumes come back out again. It can be really bad for us. Another thing is, well, that pesticide is not 100% effective on these cockroaches. These cockroaches, well, the pesticide will probably kill a lot of them. Maybe 90%, maybe almost all of them. But there's still a few that escape. And they hide in little cracks and crevices in your house that you never knew you had. Then those little baby cockroaches come out and they feed on some of the poison. And they don't feed on enough to kill it, but they feed on the poison just enough to where, well, they may get a little sick that day, and they come out and say, oh, I got indigestion from that piece of crumb I found on the ground last night. And I say, well, I'm hungry, there's nothing else to eat. They come back there and eat it again. Pretty soon, well, they develop a resistance. They're resilient to all that pesticide, and it doesn't bother them anymore. And then they have babies, and they have even more cockroaches that are resilient to that pesticide. Most of the cockroaches are female, and these cockroaches, well, they'll lay an ootheca, which is an egg sac that has 100 eggs inside of it, and they'll lay one of those every 2 weeks for almost an entire year of their adult life. So that's a lot of cockroaches. So you spray pesticide, then you just created a bunch of super cockroaches, and since they have all that toxin in their body, well, most of the natural predators that eat them, like birds, won't eat them anymore because they've got all that pesticide all over them. So what's a good way to, if you can't spray pesticide, well, how else would you get rid of a cockroach problem like that? Anyone have any ideas? No? I guess a shoe would probably work.
They live inside of it.
Well, the thing is they're food. You know? Yeah? A broom. Yeah, a broom or a shoe might work.
Keep it as a pet.
Well,
Keep it
I
for the
would,
dog.
but I don't know if your mom would like that.
I know. I tried to
Well,
keep
what you want to do is you want to cut off their food supply. Okay? So these cockroaches, well, they're going to eat little crumbs that fall off your plate when you're eating dinner that's on the floor. If you have a pretty clean house, you're probably not going to have a cockroach problem. Cockroaches like dirty houses, and they like food all over the place. So if you're eating cookies in bed, well, the cockroaches are going to come and climb in bed with you and eat those crumbs. If you don't rinse your dishes at night after you're done eating, well, those dishes that sit there on the sink while you're in your bed sleeping, those cockroaches come out in the middle of the night and eat the food off your plate. So it's pretty gross. Also, if any of you have pets like dogs or cats, and you give them dog food or cat food, sometimes your pet doesn't finish the rest of its food, and it just sits there in its food dish all night. Those cockroaches will climb up in there and eat all that food. And you give them a buffet every night, well, I guarantee they're not going to leave. So if you have a clean house, you don't leave crumbs all over the place, then you won't have a cockroach problem. And so if you get rid of the cockroach problem, you get rid of those pests, you'll also get rid of some of the predator pests that you don't want. So there's a lot of other arthropods that eat cockroaches. One of them is spiders. Who can tell me what the most venomous spider is in Arizona? There's 2 of them. There's 2 species.
Brown recluse.
Brown recluse is one of them. What's the other one?
Black widow.
The black widow, that's right. So I have here 2 adult female black widows. And these are some pretty good sized black widows. And they're alive, but they're in petri dishes where the lid is taped shut. And I'll come around so you can see them. These are alive. So black widow is pretty easily recognizable. Its whole body is black. And on the underside of its abdomen, they have this little red hourglass on the underside of the abdomen. And that's how you can tell a black widow from any other type of spider.
They have a big butt.
bunch of crickets.
And aren't they named Black Widows because the girls eat their husbands?
Yep.
That's crazy. Is that why you live?
But a lot of spiders, the female usually eats the male.
Why is the crickets in there?
These are all dead crickets that it's eaten already.
That's why you put them
Dinner. That's Black Widows? Those are huge.
There's some good sized ones, huh? I didn't bring any live brown recluse spiders to show you, but a brown recluse spider, they're brown and they have this little pattern on the back of their cephalothorax that looks like a upside down violin. Sometimes they're called the violin spider, but it's really hard to see. Now, brown recluse spiders, they don't hang out in webs. They're ground dwelling, so they don't make webs up in the ceiling or anything like that. So if you see a brown spider in a web, most likely it's not a brown recluse spider. And they don't seem to hang out in areas where there's a lot of people. They like to stay outdoors, usually near streams. You find a lot of them in Sedona, but they don't really like to hang out inside. Black widows, on the other hand, well, they love to hang out around where people are. This one right here, her name is Charlotte. I've had her for about 3 years, and she was actually collected at an elementary school underneath a desk. So you want to think twice before sticking gum under the desk, huh? There might be a black widow under there. Now, the good thing about black widow spiders, they're not aggressive. They're not going to just come up and bite you. They're not evil spiders. They're actually very important in the ecosystem. They eat harmful pests that we don't like cockroaches and grasshoppers and other pests that are going to eat your plants and can cause a lot of damage to your vegetable garden or your rose garden at home. So black widows like this, if you leave them alone, they'll leave you alone. Now if you see one in your house, you might want to get one of your parents to take it outside, remove it. But the black widow is a dangerous spider. They have what's called a neurotoxic venom. So if you were to get bit, for example, in the finger, well, you'd feel immediate pain there, and the pain would go all the way to your wrist, and then up your arm, and into your armpit. And you'd feel all this pain in all the joints. Then you feel pain in your chest, and you get really sick. You'll get really pale, lethargic, and you'll probably feel like vomiting. It feels like you had the flu. And black widow bites among children have been known to actually die from black widow bites. So never mess with the black widow. If you leave her alone, she'll leave you alone. Now, both male and female black widows are poisonous. The male black widow looks a little bit different from the female. It's not always black. It sometimes has some brownish white markings on it. But on the underside of the abdomen, it'll still have that red hourglass, so you'll still know it's a black widow. Now, not all spiders are bad. They're not all really venomous.
Not the big one.
Tarantulas. Tarantulas are just gentle giants. They're not bad at all. Especially the tarantulas we have here in Arizona. This is a tarantula that we have here in Arizona. It is native. And even though it's got really big, powerful jaws, powerful fangs, well, it's not very venomous. And they're actually kind of nice. It's kind of like an 8-legged gerbil. It's fuzzy, and it's got 8 legs. If this tarantula were to bite me, it'd feel something like a bee sting, so it would hurt, but it wouldn't kill me. I wouldn't be worried. But they have another defense besides their fangs. Now, even tarantulas, as scary looking as this, are still considered food for other animals. You know, sometimes coyotes will eat tarantulas.
My dog will eat anything
If you ever-
that goes by.
If you ever see a tarantula outside, well, sometimes you'll see this bald spot on its butt. And you know what that's for? You know why they do that?
Lips.
Well, they take their hind leg and they flick hairs off their butt. Those hairs is their defense. those hairs cause an itchy irritation. They get into the pores of your skin. Your skin has little holes in it that you can't see unless you use a microscope. And those hairs get in there and cause this itchy irritation. And so if I'm a coyote going to try to, if I try to bite this tarantula, it's going to flick those hairs right in my face. And I'll get it in my eyes, my nose, and I guarantee you that predator will think twice before eating a tarantula again. So it's not a bad defense. I'm going to come by so you can take a better, closer look at it. But I don't want you to touch it because of those hairs. You can just look at it.
Where's the eye?
Eyes are right here.
Oh, cool. Does it have 8 eyes?
They have 8 eyes, but they're in a little cluster on their head. So it looks like just one eye. But if you look at it with a scope, microscope, you can probably see a lot more.
Who cares? Like he said, it's a harder spider. What are you doing?
Yeah.
It's not on TV.
I'll email you.
Where are the eyes? The eyes are in one cluster. I can see one eye, another eye, and another eye, and another eye, and another eye.
Right here.
One eye. I can see all of them. They only have 6 eyes. No, they have 8. What he does is he takes. Me too. So I can kill you. He takes his hind legs and goes like this. Sometimes spiders. Yes, I have. I can see the
Eye right there. So now I want to show you another type of arachnid. This is a scorpion.
I used to have a pet.
This is a live scorpion, and this is one of the most venomous scorpions, most poisonous scorpions in North America. This is the bark scorpion.
Isn't it true that the babies are the most poisonous and the moms?
It's not true. It's just the species. Now this is the bark scorpion. They're called bark scorpions for a reason, and that's because they tend to hang out in wood piles. If any of your parents have a fireplace and they're bringing firewood into the house, that's sometimes how you can get these scorpions in the house as well. So you always want to check the wood before putting it in your house for scorpions. But they hang out in little cracks and crevices. That's a very small scorpion. It's got very long, narrow claws and a tiny stinger. That's one of the characteristics of the bark scorpion.
Scorpions eating the bees.
A bee's in there?
He's dead.
And then we go.
Shove it in the fire. We just do that and then it burns.
The fire, two fire guns.
So like this.
Say hello to the fire. Say hello to the fire.
What's the biggest time? How big is the biggest?
I'll show you. I have one.
Oh my god! He has one. How did you get them in the things without getting extinct?
I have little tweezers or forceps that I use.
Yeah, protect this stuff. So does it hit in the face?
It's like.
So this scorpion, it's got tiny, narrow claws and a tiny stinger. It doesn't look like much, but it's actually a very powerful sting that it has. There are other scorpions that look just like the bark scorpion. They're about the same size, yet they're not very venomous at all.
Oh my gosh, he's not picking up that scorpion.
In fact, they're not very venomous. I can actually hold it with my bare hands. This is the fat-tailed scorpion.
Oh my gosh.
And see, it's got a fat tail and chunky claws, and it's the same size as a bark scorpion, yet I'm holding this one. This one's not very poisonous. If it were to sting me, it'd feel maybe like an ant bite at the very worst. It's not a very bad sting at all.
Can it jump? No. Can it go? That's the coolest scorpion I've ever seen. He has the biggest kind of the scorpion. That's the biggest kind of the scorpion. No. They can move back. Yeah. That's awesome. That's not the It's awesome. You see, he just opened his arms to him. You have a bigger one? You have a big one? I used to have a pet scorpion. Except I spent
Now there's one scorpion that's you've probably seen in some movies. It's a pretty large scorpion. It's actually one of the largest species of scorpion.
like a transformer. Like the transformer scorpion. Oh no, my gosh! It's blind.
This is the emperor scorpion. Now this scorpion is not native here to Arizona. This is a tropical species. And this species, they get pretty big. They're from tropical areas of West Africa. And again, even though this is a very big, scary looking scorpion, it's not very poisonous. If this were to sting me, again, it would feel something like a bee sting. It's not very bad. It would hurt, but it wouldn't be dangerous like the bark scorpion.
Does he sting you?
It could if it wanted to, but not only is this one mildly aggressive, it doesn't sting very often. It has a very, very weak sting. It's also pretty calm. See, I could actually pet it. And if you want, I will come around and you could pet it.
No! Yes! The shell looks soft.
I wasn't really scared about the other one.
Think of it as kind of like a big crawfish.
It kind of feels like a crab.
Are you going to touch it?
No way.
Oh my god.
I'm watching this. Are you gonna pet it? I already did. I felt shock in my head.
If you notice, I'm holding the stinger back, so even though it's not very likely to sting, even if it were going to, it wouldn't because I'm holding the stinger back.
What happens if it just
Whoops.
Oh my god.
That feels cool. I touched it. It was cool. Yeah, it's like this. It's like you throw it.
That's his mouth.
Why is his little claws hairy?
Now I wanted to show you something really cool about scorpions, and that's they glow under UV light. See if I can get some darkness here. Do these blinds close?
Yes. Oh yeah. All the lights? Oh my gosh. Don't scare me like this.
Like, oh my
They're
gosh.
putting us on lockdown? Dun, dun, dun. What do you mean us on lockdown? They are putting us on lockdown. Close the door. Close the door. He's not going.
Okay, now this scorpion, even though it's really, really dark.
Just shiny.
This is a mag light with UV LED bulbs in it.
Oh, cool. I have one of those at home.
And if I shine this on the scorpion, it's going to glow its bright green color.
That's cool. How does that happen?
I'm a scorpion now.
So there is a chemical in the exoskeleton of the scorpion, which is similar to fluoride, and it reflects this UV light. And that's why they glow. And it's all scorpions that glow, not just live ones, but even dead ones, see?
Whoa!
Tarantulas and other arthropods will not, but the scorpions will glow.
That's awesome.
That's scary.
The dead ones, their legs mainly glow. It's
Moving.
See, it kind of glows that bright green color.
It's
Now,
like it's been painted.
we know the reason, we know the function of why it glows, we know how it glows, but scientists are still not quite sure the reason for this glow. But there's a couple of theories. One of them that I happen to agree with is that they use this glow to attract prey.
It looks green.
So what they do, since all scorpions are nocturnal, and since all scorpions are predators, they will produce this glowing light, and there's just enough light that we may not see this glowing, but other insects such as moths and other nocturnal insects will see this glow that'll reflect from the moonlight onto the scorpion,
Looks like it was painted.
and then the scorpion will be able to catch its prey.
Can I see it again?
Is that
Scorpion, they use in movies like, just recently they had that in Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
You might have seen it in The Scorpion King, and also Hook with Robin Williams.
Yeah.
Remember the boo box that they dropped the scorpions in? Well, they use this scorpion because it looks scary, but it's not very poisonous at all. Another really cool arachnid that they've used in movies is this guy. They used this in that movie Harry Potter. Remember? Where they were doing those spells on the poor things? Well, this is a species of arachnid that lives in caves, and they hang upside down like that.
like a bat?
Mm-hmm. And they'll eat other nocturnal insects, cockroaches, crickets. Some of them are large enough to even eat small bats.
Wow. I have a picture of.
And they're not poisonous.
I see something. They have tiny claws that are like this.
They're not poisonous, they don't sting, they don't... But they do have a good pair of claws here that it uses for grabbing its prey.
Like that one up there. Actually, they have two.
I don't see it.
A big fat.
Oh, I see it now.
I like those. Every time I get a chance, I roll them. I know they're harmless. They are harmless.
Which one is it? That one?
That
This one?
all
No.
they do is sit there and eat bugs. They
Now these guys have these really long legs that look like antennae, but they're not antennae, they're legs. And what it does with these legs is it feels around for vibration. They don't see very well.
So you come when you shoot.
Oh, this is just dirt
Oh.
from the wood.
Okay, it's
But they use these feelers for feeling vibration. Now they're in the caves, it's really dark, they can't see. So with these really long legs, they're very sensitive, and they use this to feel for crickets and other animals that might be lurking around in the cave. And they're very sensitive. It's kind of like a blind person using a cane. So if these legs are so sensitive, they could actually feel the heartbeat of a cricket on the surface of the rock with those legs. So very sensitive.
Can I hear a person yelling from a mile away?
Well, they feel the vibration, so yes.
Oh, wow.
What about 13,000 miles away?
No.
So I showed you arachnids. I showed you insects. Now I want to show you centipedes and millipedes.
Oh!
I didn't bring a live centipede with me today, but I do have a dead one. This is a centipede.
Would you put
Now centipedes and millipedes, they have a lot more than 6 legs and a lot more than 8 legs.
They have 100.
Well, it depends on how big they are. Every time a millipede or centipede sheds its skin, it gains another body segment with another set of legs.
Wow.
Now centipedes and millipedes are different. Centipedes are poisonous.
Yeah, I found one under
This centipede is, they can move very fast and they catch their prey. They feed on other insects.
I saw one. I was
That's its
thinking I
head.
picked up a rock.
I know what.
It ate a roach.
I have this place.
Yeah.
Each one of these lines that you see on its body is a body segment.
Where's its head?
Its head is right up here. On each body segment it has 2 legs. Only 2 legs per body segment. It's sitting in this solution. It's called ethanol, and what it does is it prevents the specimen from rotting or deteriorating and falling apart. So it keeps it nice and fresh. So now I'm going to show you millipede, and I have live millipedes.
Oh, cool. Are they poisonous?
No, millipedes are not poisonous. Centipedes are. Now millipedes, they move a lot slower than centipedes do, and that's because they don't need to catch their prey. Millipedes are detritivores, and what that means is they eat dead or dying organic matter, so like rotting vegetation, rotting animals. Sometimes they will even eat dung from other animals.
Oh. What?
These guys are native millipedes here to Arizona, and they feed primarily on lichen. And lichen doesn't go very fast, so they don't need to move very fast either. You can pet it if you'd like. Each one of those lines that you're feeling there is a body segment. And on each body segment, instead of 2 legs, it has 4 legs per body
That
segment.
has to have 101 legs.
It has to have at least 100 legs. I thought it said 101.
I think it's 104 now.
Where do you get that from? It has more than 100 legs.
Looks like 1,000.
Yeah, it looks like 1,000 legs.
How many legs do you think it has?
Well, you have to count the segments and multiply it by 4. But I'm not quite sure how many because I haven't counted the segments in a while. The last time I counted, it had 250 legs.
Whoa!
Let's go with
So
that.
it's more than I would go like 300.
No, do it, Biddy. 200.
If it was 2 million, it will be all.
What if it's shorter than, well, got more legs? Well, it should have 5 times.
I'm
Oh,
sore from snowboarding.
It would have 1,234,000 legs.
you just guessed.
No. Okay, 1,200. Ah, there's a bug. I'm just kidding. It would have as much as this. Can we pick it up? Where's the other antenna? I don't see it.
It's like you take off.
Now this millipede, since it's not venomous, it doesn't bite, it has to protect itself some other way. And you guys may have smelt this as I was walking by. They have this odor that they secrete, and they have these glands on the side of their body that secretes these oils. And this odor kind of smells like a mixture between rust and old liver.
Ew.
Very pungent odor. And it's pretty acidic too, so if some animal were to try to eat this, it'd spit it out right away. So millipede has a very good defense against predators by making itself not taste very well.
So if someone tries to eat it, then it'll spit it right out.
Yep.
What if they do eat it?
So that is all the bugs that I have to show you today. I do summer bug camps in the summer. So it's for kids ages 7 through 14. So if you're within that age group, you should tell your parents that you want to do the summer bug camp, and you just register at Willow Bend, and I'll give your teacher a flyer too, so she has it. So I will take some of your questions if you have any questions.
When is it?
We have one in June. I think it's the second week of June, and there's another one in July. We may have a third one. We may have one in August.
In July 15th, that's my birthday.
When? What do you do in the bug camp? Well, in the bug camp, you get to collect bugs, and you even get to keep them. And we have all kinds of ways you can collect them. We have nets that you get to use. We even have these cool bug vacs. They're like little vacuum cleaners. You can suck up bugs off of flowers and stuff. And every day we have a little activity where you get to do something with the insects, where we put them in a maze, or we collect them, or look at pond communities. Any questions about the talk?
Why are bugs so scary?
Why are bugs so hairy?
I mean spiders.
Oh, spiders. Well, spiders have, that's a good question. What's your name? Maricela? Maricela had a really good question. Hey. She asked, why do spiders have all these hairs? Well, most of the spiders not all spiders have hairs, like a black widow doesn't. But some of the larger spiders, like wolf spiders and tarantulas, they have hair, and they live on the ground. Well, they don't see very well, and so these hairs act as an extrasensory type of thing. So if an insect is crawling near a tarantula, say if it rubs just next to its hairs, well, that tarantula will turn around and eat whatever's there, because it knows that there's a cricket or something. If any of you have a pet tarantula, if you can carefully get like a Q-tip or something and touch just one of the hairs on the side of its leg, you'll see that tarantula jump over at the Q-tip. So that's a good question. Any other questions like that?
Is bug camp open on July 4th?
July 4th. I don't think we don't have it on July 4th.
Oh, that's my birthday.
It's a week-long camp. If you want to know more information about that, I'll leave some flyers with your teacher. You have another question?
Why do those dead bugs look like plastic bugs?
Why do they look like plastic bugs? Well, I guess because plastic bugs, they do. But these ones, they're pinned and set in a certain way to make them look as lifelike as I can make them. And when an insect dies, you're only seeing basically the exoskeleton here. So you're only seeing the skeleton of this insect, and when you position the legs or wings in any position you put them in, they dry like that, and they stay like that permanently. You have a question in the back?
I'm going to bug camp this summer, and I wonder what I'd be doing there.
Well, I don't know. There's one at M&A, and there's the one I'm doing, so I don't know which bug camp you applied, which one you applied for. Do you have a question?
How do they stay in place?
How do they stay in place? Well, so their blood and their guts inside the insect's body, when they dry up, all those guts dry up, and then they stay in that position that I put them in.
Well, can you still move them around?
Not when they're dry. Once they're dry like that, you can't move them anymore.
And if you try to
I have enough time for one more question. Anyone else? No? You in the back.
Did you find all the bugs, or did somebody give them to you?
Most all these insects I collected myself. So even some of the tropical specimens. I can order some of these tropical specimens, like the Madagascar cockroaches, from places that sell exotic critters like this. Well, that's all the questions I have time for. You've been a lover. And if you want to learn more about bugs in the summer bug camps, there's a website which I'll give to your teacher.
Okay.